When the pandemic hit, Mark Heydon thought his picture framing business would collapse within months. JobKeeper saved him.
It was a really good scheme that worked well for small business and kept us moving at a time when we really needed it.
By November, the picture had turned positive. Turnover was up and Mark stopped claiming the wage subsidy for his staff. But he's frustrated some businesses were not made to pay it back when their revenue and profits increased in the 6 months to last September.
If you keep it, you're stealing the money from the public purse. It's like claiming unemployment benefits when you're going to work. It's just not the right thing to do.
To receive the wage subsidy when it started in March last year, businesses with less than $1 billion in turnover had to forecast their revenue would decline by at least 30% in the coming months. While the majority of JobKeeper recipients were small businesses, Aimee Brown missed out. She had to work extra hours to keep her chiropractic firm afloat.
It's really irritating to know that there's so many small businesses out there that are having to close down because they couldn't get support, and then there's these big businesses that weren't necessarily eligible, and that there's just no repercussions for them, it seems like.
All up, $89 billion in JobKeeper payments were paid to almost 3.8 million employees in more than 1 million businesses. Analysis shows companies with more than $10 million in turnover represent about 2% of recipients, but they received up to 20% of the total payments. It found about $6.2 billion was paid to firms that never experienced the minimum revenue fall they'd anticipated.
JobKeeper was a system that was designed for an Armageddon that never occurred in Australia. For the vast bulk of businesses, except those in Victoria, the pandemic restrictions eased after June. Yet we kept paying JobKeeper through July, August and September, and that was a sugar hit to their profits.
But Treasurer Josh Frydenberg has repeatedly defended the scheme, saying without JobKeeper, many more jobs would have been lost and businesses forced to close their doors.
New Zealand tested its wage subsidy scheme at the 3-month mark. Only businesses that had a 40% or more decline in turnover were allowed to keep claiming it. Our Tasman neighbours also have a transparency register showing which firms claimed it and by how much. But our governments refused to have one.
And it's extraordinary that the government, having run the biggest one-off scheme, having engaged in the biggest one-off waste, the $13 billion that went to firms with rising revenues, is now shrouding the scheme in secrecy.
Mark Heydon also wants transparency, but more than that, he wants accountability.
Get the money back. Get the money back from the people who you've overpaid.
It's a message that some others have delivered, but the government has left the decision on whether to repay the money in the hands of business.